T minus 60 seconds. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the 5 Foot Viking podcast, where we get to drink a beer and learn something new. And today is redemption day for me. Today is redemption day. I have my guest today is Mr. Christopher Knight. Thank you for being here. I know it was a long travel.
My pleasure. I hit a lot of traffic on the way over.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris is my neighbor, and it's funny because he lives right across the way, and we hardly see each other.
Yeah,
but it really is good to have you on here. And before we jump into some stuff, real quick, there is wanted to let everybody know that you can go to the 5footviking.com. There is plenty of past podcasts. This podcast, if I'm not mistaken, is number 19. So I've been doing this for a minute now, that's
awesome.
It is. It's kind of cool, actually. I've been learning an awful lot. And you can always go to the 5footviking.com. At that place, at that website, you can look at the YouTube and the Facebook and the Anchor and the Spotify and the Instagram, all the good places where you can look at the 5 Foot Viking stuff. And also in the future, I'm trying to get it ready for today, but it's still not ready yet. But there is some 5 Foot Viking merchandise that will be available soon. There's some T-shirts with the logo and some hoodies with the logo, and I currently have some bottle openers, some fridge knit.
I'm like, I'll wear
fridge knit, magnet refrigerator bottle openers, because we're all about drinking beer here at the 5 Foot Viking, and it's just I'm trying to get that stuff ready for I wanted to have it ready now, but there's been so much going on in my life right now with school and with the podcast and with things starting to open up for my band and playing. And then also with I'm going to announce it. I'm moving to Palm Desert, which is crazy. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm excited. I think it's going to be super cool.
Me too.
But yeah, that's going to be interesting. We got a couple people jumping on right here. Just wanted to jump in and acknowledge some good friends. Mr. Schlitt, David Schlitt, thank you so much for always being such a big supporter and always looking for my dad. Bruce, where are you? I love that. Thank you so much.
It's
Leslie,
awesome to have family support.
Yeah, it is really cool. And Leslie, thank you for jumping on and hanging out. And Alberto, always a very big contributor when it comes to asking questions and leaving comments. I appreciate you being here. Frank, man, haven't seen you in a minute. Frank was working at Katie Jake's in Covina for the longest time. Done it for years and years and years. And if I'm not mistaken, you moved out to Wisconsin or Minnesota or something like that.
Somewhere
I can't.
Oot and a boot.
Yeah.
I got my dad's side of the family's from the Twin Cities. So family out there.
Okay.
Yeah. It's we did the ice fishing trips.
Oh,
years
really?
Back. Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
Okay, we're gonna have to talk about that in a little bit. But
good stuff. 20 below.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Frank says Wisconsin. Yes. So
all right. Cool.
I'm assuming that's extremely cold.
Yes.
That's not for me. I can't. I wouldn't be able to hang with that. Carmen, hey, how are you? Thanks for jumping on here. My sister Shivani up in Utah, Desert Day Palms. Yes, it's going to be interesting out there. the Desert of Palms. Yes, Mr. Edgar Namrock, the Namrock podcast.
Hey.
So just to let everybody know, this is the 19th podcast. If I'm not mistaken, you were my guest on like episode 6. I think it was. I want to say it was episode 6 or 7. It was right within the first month and a half.
Yeah, it's been a couple of months. I think.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I was doing the math, and I've just been going week to week and number to number, which has been interesting to see. Like, we're at 19. Okay, we're at 19. But then when I did the math, I'm like, oh, that's like 6 months. Oh, we're almost in June. I've been doing this for almost 6 months. And I've just been learning every time I do something, I learn something new. Every time I do a podcast, I learn something new.
Yeah.
A couple days later, I always watch the podcast again, and I critique myself, not in a negative way, more in a...
No, you're striving to try and make it better the next time.
Absolutely. I want to see where... Okay, that was good. Right. I'm gonna keep doing that. Or that wasn't so great. I can change it up and make it better by doing this.
Sure. You're an artist by nature, so I think we have that internally where it's like you got that self critique.
Absolutely.
You want to improve on your performance, and I mean this is essentially kind of a performance.
Yeah. And it's something new and
form of expression.
I'm having a great time with it. I love the interaction with the crowd. That is tuning in and jumping in and leaving comments and stuff. I just really, really appreciate that. And also on a side note, for anybody who's watching, if you are watching live on YouTube or on Facebook, on YouTube, you can comment. I should be able to see everything fine. But if you're watching on Facebook, you have to comment on the 5 Foot Vikings live stream. So if someone shares it or anything like that, and you're commenting on there, most of the time I cannot see the comments. But if you click on the 5 Foot Viking, you go to that page and you comment on that live stream, I can see everything, and we can chat live, which is always a lot of fun. But
yeah, it's great to get the audience participation, or the engagement.
It's blast, and that was one of the whole reasons why I'm enjoying this. As a musician, and with not doing so many shows last year, it was great to have this outlet to connect with people. So. Totally. But here's the funny thing is that when I was trying to be better every week, and some things I'm like, that wasn't so good. Most of them were very small. One of my biggest failures, which in doing this was on your podcast, and it wasn't a failure. It was just I overlooked some things because I'm brand new to these microphones and using all this technology. So I unfortunately, when I plugged in my camera, I plugged in the camera last. So I got the microphones working great. But then when I plugged in the camera, the software all of a sudden said, we're going to use everything from the camera. So I thought I had this great sound, and we were listening. It sounded great. And then I went back and listened to it, and it sounded like a Zoom call from
having problems with the radar, sure.
It was so bad. So today is my redemption. Please, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching, please let me know if this sounds better than that last one. We got my dad jumping on. Have to watch tomorrow. Too much on my plate tonight. Skull, Body Armor Light Peach Mango. That's his dad's drink.
Oh, nice.
For the week.
Body Armor.
Oh wow, Titans chick. Yes, this is awesome. We oh my god, I am so sorry. I can't I want to say Amber, but I'm pretty sure that's wrong. But if I'm not mistaken, we had Spanish together in college, and I still don't really. I mean,
see.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, no, Nintendo.
Yeah, I know enough to get myself in trouble.
Please. Okay, I'm gonna have to message you later. I'm spacing right now, but so anyways, this podcast is my redemption. So
nice. Well,
I know that last time we talked a lot about and before we jump into this, I know that you're not much of a drinker. However, the beer of the week, we're going to jump into this real quick. I want some beer. I think I'll have some beer. I fucking love this beer. I'm going to drink this beer, bitches. I love that. I need to change it, but I think that's a good one.
That is.
Today,
it's like Mr. Rogers.
I'm phoning it in tonight, and And I kept it simple. I went across the street and I got a 12-pack of Equis Lager. It's 4.1%, so I can just I can have a few of these and just enjoy the ride. It easy. Yeah,
seltzer water here.
Yeah, you need another one.
Getting kind of low, I know.
Did you bring a few more? Or?
I'm cool.
Okay,
I'm all right. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get up in a minute. But so
free floating podcast.
Yeah. Grab me one from the fridge. So last time that you were on the show, we talked. I remember I wanted to talk about your touring. And we went into the backstage with Chris. And what we talked about was we talked about your touring in Mexico, because at that time you did 3 tours, and we talked about how they were all different. And we were going down that rabbit hole about the traveling and the logistics. Now, this time that we're going backstage with Chris, we're going backstage with Chris 2.0. This is the second version. And on this backstage, I wanted to dive more into your background. We talked a little bit last time about you growing up, but since having Damage Inc., you're also not only full-time musician, rock star, but you're full-time, like you have a real job. Like
I have a taxable job. I drive into a place.
Like when people come up to me and they say, "What's your real job?" I'm like, "This is my real job." When people go to you and say, "What's your real job?" You actually do have a real job.
I'm like, "What? You don't think I do this for a living?" God, if I can only pay the bills. You're living the dream, bro.
What was your first, quote unquote, real job as you were still with your band and doing stuff on stage?
Well, when the band really kind of kicked off and doing the Damage Inc. stuff. I mean, we were kind of weekend warriors once in a blue moon, like maybe once a month when we were doing the cover band thing. But when the Damage Inc. thing took off, I was working at a tow company at the time, West Coast Towing, and we did like police impounds, Irvine Police Department, Sheriff's Police Department, and stuff like that. So I did that for a little bit. Wound up switching jobs and getting a job over at a place called House Hunt. And what that place was like it was like the precursor to Zillow. So it was like you would go on, if you're looking on the internet, you're looking for homes, you would go into one of the websites out there, you'd find it on the search engines, and you'd type in the information, and then a real estate agent would call you. So I did that for 14 years over there. I worked in the customer service department, and it was they were awesome with the band thing. I mean, it can be a little bit of a balance sometimes. The busier the band gets, you're taking some time. It's occasional Fridays here. I mean, we're never really the let's crawl into the van or the bus, and
I don't know if I could crawl into the van with you. That'd be. Have you ever done that though?
No, not. I want to say the longest tour we've done has been like maybe 3 or 4 days. So
okay.
Nothing on any sort of grand scale that you would consider a tour, really. Which is kind of why I did the air quotes when we're talking about that. But I mean, travel shows and stuff. I guess that's kind of what we consider them, because we'll go out for a weekend now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it was for House Hunt. It's like you work the day job, which for me is kind of fun because I work customer service, and you're dealing with people, and people can sometimes be people, and so it's like you're on such this high. You're like, I got to be James Hetfield this weekend. Yeah, that was awesome, man. I killed it. Had a great show. And it's like Monday, you're like, hi, can I help you? I'm sorry, you're complaining about what? This is awesome. And it wasn't always like that. I did a little hyperbole there, but
I don't think I could do. I think it takes a special person to be in customer service, let alone be in customer service for 14 years. Bro.
Well, there were different facets of it. It wasn't all, taking phone calls every day. So, but the job itself was 14 years, but it wasn't 14 years.
Well, I'm curious, like when you are on the phone and you are dealing with an irate, someone who's obviously they're pissed off about something. They, are not happy with their product, or they're not, happy with the service or whatever. Are you, and at that point, are you allowed a certain authority to give them, oh, well, we can do this for you, we can do that for you. But if then they want something more than that, oh, well, I'm gonna have to talk to my manager if you want,
Well, so the evolution of working at House Hunt in that time, I eventually became the manager.
Okay.
So I wasn't dealing with that day to day typically, but I would be the one kind of making the decision on, all right, what are we going to do? How are we going to make this right for this person? You know, or make them walk away
happy,
right?
satisfied.
Yeah, or at least satisfied. You know, happy's the goal. You know, that's what you'd like that, but sometimes it's just satisfied or not upset. You know, they've had a chance to vent, you know, whatever frustration, and they at least feel satisfied. I think would be a, you know, kind of a good goal to get at. So I mean, eventually you get to that management spot, and you're kind of the one that maybe you're handling some of the more difficult calls, but you've done it long enough that you're kind of able to negotiate those.
So do you like have like the greatest communication skills ever? Like
I would say it depends on who you're asking. Are we talking my wife here, or hi honey? No, I just, I don't know if it's communication necessarily. I like to listen. Well, at least
that's communication right there, man.
You know,
that's
at least want to hear, genuinely hear the problem. Now, where I'm at now, I'm kind of starting off. So I went to a different company recently. The company that I was working for, House Hunt, unfortunately kind of fell victim to Zillow
and
you know,
and all
right,
those
yeah, and all
ones.
the other ones popping up, and they just didn't quite have the capital to really stretch that out. And so I switched gears, and I work for a company called Vortex now, and they are a commercial door company. So if you have a business out there and your door's not working right, then give us a call. And,
commercial doors, so like the automatic ones, like at the grocery store and stuff.
That's that would be one aspect. Roll-up doors, warehouse doors, Herculite doors, which are like the big thick glass doors that you know, you see on a lot of office buildings and stuff like that. Airplane hangar doors. I mean, they've done just about any and everything. Yeah. Any and everything in between.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
okay.
It's pretty cool. So it's an interesting job, and I'm not the guy there, you know, at this point. So my complaint universe is pretty small. Like, this guy's upset. Cool. Let's kick you upstairs, buddy. We'll get you taken care of.
Okay. Let me transfer you to the guy who cares.
Yeah, exactly. and quite honestly, most people are, you know, when you're doing something like this, the House Hunt service was a little bit different. You're not necessarily dealing with the public. You're dealing with real estate agents, because the public wouldn't call us. They would go onto the websites to search. So the real estate agents are the ones that were purchasing, you know, our product. And if it weren't working up to their snuff, or they had an issue with it, then, you know, you're dealing with a real estate agent in that aspect. So it with what I'm doing now, it's a little bit different, because you're dealing with, you know, kind of customers that are looking for a service. Hey, you know, our automatic door's not automatic dooring anymore. You know, we need somebody to fix that. So, you know, and yes, I agree. You know, sometimes that the friggin' customers can be a little outrageous out there. You deal with all kinds. I mean, you know, so I think nowadays, and I hate saying stuff like that because it makes me feel old. This is not
nowadays.
Paint. I know nowadays. Back in my day, you know, nowadays it seems like, I don't know, it maybe with, and I know we're on social media, so it sounds kind of a little hypocritical, but maybe with that, you know, there's a little bit more of a sense of entitlement now. People tend to think in those terms. And again, I'm fortunate to not really have to deal with that in my industry, but anybody that's working with customers out there, I mean, you see a lot of these horror stories out there. You got this guy, you know, you're berating a Starbucks barista because the company policy there was to tell you to wear a mask, and you're giving him a hard time because he's not going to trample on your rights. You know, it's like, this guy has nothing to do with that.
That's been one of the weirdest things, I think, in this, because trust me, this last year has been extremely weird.
Crazy.
Yeah. There's been a lot of weirdness.
Totally.
But that's been one of the, I mean, and I don't know, I guess my personal outlook when I go out and go do business, I look at all businesses as private business. I mean, I remember going back when I first turned 21, going bar hopping, and in every single bar they had the sign that said no shoes, no shirt, no service.
Right.
And as the entity, as the establishment, they can put whatever rules they want on there. And so if they put up a sign that says, hey, to enter here to do business with us, you have to wear a mask. Like, to me, I was like, okay, I don't want to, so I have the choice though. I can either put it on and go do business, or I can take my business elsewhere.
Right.
And,
Sure.
but the problem is in the last year, everything became political.
Yeah.
And everything became left versus right and
Right.
this versus that and
It's
right
your
versus
identity.
wrong.
Right. You got to team up and you got to be part of this team or that
It was
team.
a
And it's your
frustrating
identity.
moments,
Right. Well,
right?
it is a little bit.
But
it's like,
I'll never forget this. It was at the very beginning of the shutdowns, the lockdowns, and my computer, it took a shit. It completely wiped. It wouldn't turn on. I'm like,
that's my one connection to the outside world right now. You're like,
this is the only thing that I
my
had.
oxygen tank. No.
So I go, I went over to the Mac guys, which is not too far. And I jump into, and this is, like I said, very beginning. And I wasn't one of the, I didn't carry a mask with me everywhere because I wasn't used to it. And I wasn't doing that. So
it was a new thing for,
drive all the way over there, get my Mac, walk in. I walk up to the door. There's this big sign on the door that says, you cannot enter without a mask. And I'm like, so I drove 20 minutes home. Drove 20 minutes home. I walked in and my wife was sitting here and she's like, you're back so soon? I walked in, I picked up my mask off of the table and I walked out.
Back out, right. That's what you got to do. I mean, like you said, it's the shoes, the no shirt, no shoes. They are a private business. And the other sign you see in some establishments is we reserve the right to refuse service.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're a private establishment.
But then, like you were saying earlier about social media, and now everybody's got a camera,
right?
And everybody's connected to the internet, and so now
everybody turns into a Karen, and I want to talk to the manager, and we're going to go to corporate, and we're going to get you fired. And
trust me, there are some instances where that is warranted. There are some.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, if you're being a jerk, by all means,
But there are some instances where it's like it's not. So the hardest part is that like everything is being thrown up on Facebook and YouTube and the internet and Twitter. But now we've got people here in Southern California. Did you see what happened in Portland? Like, like that one lady that went into the Starbucks, and I'm like, I didn't see that. Like that's and it's so weird that we live in that time now. And
some people search that out, though.
That's true. There's a lot of people
that are kind of addicted to being outraged.
Yeah,
or, seeing that stuff. And,
that's interesting.
I think that some people actually seek that out. And I mean, one of the things with the algorithms out there now, you are bombarded by what you want to see. There really isn't a dissenting point of view or a variety in some cases. Some people, totally tailor their internet experience to only what they want to see, and if that's all you're seeing out there, then you get
that's
those
really
people
interesting.
with that sort of an attitude or that sort of a approach. I mean, it's just how they want to sell you advertising in a sense. And so they're going to get you to continue to go down that rabbit hole and see the things you want to see so they can, basically sell to you.
If they can tell what kind of stuff you watch, they're going to feed you more of what you're watching.
Right. And I say they've already made a computer program that does all of this.
No, but it's that one guy behind the curtain.
Mr. Burns. Right? Smithers, release the hounds.
I want to jump into, we got, a few comments in here. Mr. Edgar Hernandez. Pro-facers, quote unquote, are the new vegans. You'll know because they can't go 30 seconds without letting someone know.
It's like, and again, I'm not wading into the political aspect of it. It's like you do what you want to do, but if you're going into a private establishment, then they have the right to tell you to get the heck out of there.
Yeah,
it's like,
very true.
Don't call it corporate or whatever. It's like, dude, nobody's trampling your rights. You're walking into a private establishment without your shirt, basically.
But the difference is, like, I think one of the differences would be like if you're walking into a private establishment, a private business versus walking into a park, going to a beach, being outside, in public places, that is when it becomes murky, when it's like now it is the government that is on top of it. If someone comes up to you and tells you that you have to be wearing a mask in outside, that's different than you're not in a private business.
Totally. Yeah. And when I would argue with anybody that, there are two sides to that spectrum.
For
You
sure.
have the people that are a little paranoid about it. And, you're not wearing a mask outside. You have to wear a mask everywhere. And it's like, well, that really, you're not following the science.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not wading into political. I'm sure everybody has different beliefs.
No,
Please
I think this is interesting because
send me the hate mail later.
this is probably like the most political I've ever gotten on this show.
Well, I mean, it's a controversial topic. I mean, we've turned it into a controversial topic when it really should just be, hey, let's just follow the science. It's like, okay, if the science says that you really, there's an extremely low transmission rate outdoors, and as long as you're not in a large group that's kind of sucked up together and you can maintain that separation, then there should not be any reason why you can't take the mask off.
But I do feel like it's, especially, also we're thinking about social media connecting so many people from so many different walks of life and geography.
Is this unleaded?
Yeah, that's unleaded.
Okay, cool. I didn't want to.
I believe.
Hey, 3 years of sobriety, and
well, double check that. I don't think that Marlene would give you any.
No, there's no booze.
Okay,
trust me. When you don't drink, you can smell it. It's like that annoying ex-smoker. It's like everything smells like cigarette smoke.
That happened to me when I quit
Totally.
smoking. Like 6 months later, I went into a smoky room, and I'm like, oh wow. And when I went home, my clothes smelled, and I went to my wife and I'm like, you married me when I was a smoker? Like, I smelled like this every time I came home and you married me? I was like, you know what? That's awesome.
Kudos to you.
You
right?
love me.
Yeah.
We got a few more. Stephanie, how are you? We're jumping back. But some of these comments are from some things that we talked about just a little while ago. Amen. All the separation. Why can't we all just get along? That's 100% true. Our neighbor from upstairs, Brett, how are you, sir? Miss you. What's up, you handsome fuckers? Love you too.
The video must be off.
I know. I love this. We're drinking later. Get ready. Okay, I'm getting ready. And this is something too that I kind of wanted to touch on, but I mean, not too much, but yeah, the whole cancel culture from Stephanie. The whole cancel culture drives me nuts, and that's same here. That drives me nuts as well. My little sister loves going down the rabbit hole. I love watching the Karen videos, and that's.
I've seen a couple of those, and I will say, I don't know, maybe I can only handle about 30 seconds.
Yeah,
of it,
it gets to the point where I'm
lady,
like,
seriously,
really,
what are you
doing this again?
Yeah,
what
are you doing?
Did you see any of the Karen videos?
Right.
Like you did see them, and you wanted to put your own out.
Right? Yeah. It's like you're being that person right now. Yeah. The cancel culture to me is I grew up in a different time,
Me too,
we threw around words they were just expressions. They weren't, they weren't necessarily meant to hurt somebody, but it's like now it just feels like, again, I think some people seek out being offended. It's just like people seek out that sort of, those sorts of videos or whatever, you get kind of addicted to that outrage or whatever. And some people are looking to be offended about stuff, and I do think there are things that are legitimately offensive. Yeah. But nobody needs to go away because of it.
Yeah. And if you have to go back 10 years through my social media to find something,
right.
Trust me, if I met Whip Patrol from 10 years ago, I'd punch him in the dick.
Right. We're so different. I mean, we change so much through our lives, and that's what humanity's all about. You don't cancel somebody. We make a mistake and we learn from our mistakes.
Now, if you don't learn from it,
well, yeah, then eventually society will cancel you out on their own.
Yeah.
If you're just going to be that hard-headed douche or whatever, that just, I'm going to say whatever I'm going to say. I'm going to be this way, people are going to stop hanging around you. I mean, it's just going to happen on its own, but people it's not a video game. It's not a game. You don't just, hey, this person's going to go away. Oh, you said something bad, or you said something that offended my sensible,
but what's interesting is
my sensitivities, it's like
10 years ago, it didn't offend you.
Right.
But now it offends you. So you're going to go back and look at what I said 10 years ago and be offended by what I said. And you're going to cancel me today because of something I said 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, if it's something I said right now, that's a whole different story. But
sure.
There is a lot of that maybe addictiveness to canceling people.
Sure.
Which maybe some people are just, it's a sense of entitlement, a sense of power, a sense of, I can crush you with a tweet.
Yeah.
Or I'm in control of this. That might lead to, or that might talk about something, maybe some type of narcissism within that person or within a certain culture or a group of people,
Sure.
but trust me, I am no psychologist or anything like that.
Oh, no,
I'm just talking about it. These are two dudes sitting down in Huntington Beach. Just
if you're taking your psychological cues from us,
yeah, you're on the wrong podcast.
We're glad you're drinking. That'll probably help you a lot more than we can tonight.
Yeah.
So just saying that.
We're
just, I mean, we're both experiencing this, and
Yeah.
we've both we have grown up and even the audience out there. I mean, we've grown up in different times where, I mean, like we didn't get offended about comedy shows,
Yeah.
and it's like everything everybody says is under a microscope now.
Yeah.
It's like, and like you said, I mean, if we're going to dig back in people's past, it's just it feels like a ridiculous purity contest.
Mhm.
And nobody's pure. We're not perfect. We're human. I guarantee that person that's canceling that other person out, if you knocked on that closet door, then you'd hear a knock back from a couple of skeletons, I'm sure. Guarantee
so
it. I guarantee it. Nobody's that perfect. And just to sit there and self-righteously shame down other people is just so ridiculous to me. It really is. I mean, we learn from our mistakes. We're human. It's okay to say, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you, or
it's great to say, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't know what I was doing back then was so hurtful.
Sure,
I was ignorant. Maybe I had to learn my lesson, and I've grown since then, and I'm a different person now. I have a different outlook on what I did or what I said or how I treated people, or I mean, I think that me and you are very much alike in the fact that every day we try to become a better person.
Sure.
I've noticed that about you, and I try to hold that to myself. There are some days I fall short, but I think that moving forward is always a good thing, and trying to be a better person to the people that are around you is a good thing. So
totally. I mean,
granted, I'm not gonna win all the time, and I'm gonna make mistakes like everyone else. But like we were going back to what Stephanie said, this whole cancel culture is like, it's getting a little bit out of control. Oh, I did want to touch on what my wife said. This is great. And it's so true, especially for people that have lived in our time.
Yes.
Back in the day, when you could act a fool and nobody would know unless they were with you.
Isn't that so true? Oh my God. I am so glad that if somebody had a camera back in my day, it looked like a shoebox on their shoulder. There was no hide in this little video there. You're not, and nobody had them. I mean, hardly anybody did. So yeah, I mean, there really is a, whatever you do is going to wind up on some social media or be shared on some video thing now. You know, and it's,
even the stuff back then from the VHS, because now you can transfer VHS to MP4s and put it on Facebook.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, God, all your family videos, anything you've ever done, it's like, it's out there. And I'll tell you what, all the kids nowadays, and again, I'm saying nowadays again, they're putting that voluntarily out there on the internet.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a weird thing, a strange phenomena that's kind of, I think, spiraled out of control in some aspects. And I mean, brought us closer together in other aspects. I mean, we're able to kind of sit here and hang out with you guys and do these sorts of awesome things on Facebook. And it can also be used for, well, you said this 10 years ago.
Look,
you need to fire that guy.
We also got Stephanie chiming in again. It's almost like we're expected to be quote unquote perfect all the time. I'm sorry. Failing forward makes you a better person.
Totally.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Learning from your mistakes to make you a better person. When you know better, you do better. That's 100 right there. And then Mr. Edgar Hernandez, Generation Z attempted to quote unquote cancel James Hetfield and failed miserably. The whole hunting thing made San Francisco yuppies really upset.
Yeah. And he actually moved to Vail, Colorado.
Really?
He probably about 5 years ago. And I think a lot of it had to do with kind of catching some grief. I know.
See, I don't know about that. What does Edgar mean by they tried to cancel James?
I don't know the full story, but I mean, he's a hunter, gun owner, and kind of a maybe right leaning, if you will. I mean, and it doesn't really jibe well with kind of some of the people in that area. And from what I understand, he decided to move to Vail, Colorado, and kind of be in a little bit more rural area and kind of paradise, I guess, up there. But, you want to surround yourself, I guess, with people that maybe share or at least can appreciate what you do or leave you alone if they don't like it, and I when you live in a bigger city like that, I mean, you've lived in LA.
Yeah.
I've been a suburb kid all my life, so kind of
have you been in Orange County your whole life?
Entire life, man.
Really?
Almost 50 years old and have never lived outside. The closest I lived outside of Orange County was Cypress. Still behind the orange curtain.
Still on the orange curve.
It is, yeah.
I like what Brett says here, our neighbor upstairs. However, if you own up to anything you've said or done, it takes the wind out of any argument. It's when you make excuses for actions. It's when you make an excuse for actions is when you get hung. That I would have to agree with that.
Yeah, I think we've not lost the ability, but we rarely seem to want to take accountability or take accountability. When something happens, it's people are always trying to save face. It's that I've got an image on social media or whatever that I've got to keep up and
finger pointing.
Yeah, right, exactly. Ooh, you did this. It's like it's on video.
Yeah,
world star.
And then when it comes to me, it's like, oh no, it wasn't my fault. It was this. And
right.
I don't know. When I was a kid, maybe this is once again back in my day. God, is this
right.
what
I know?
I should have named tonight's
sound grumpier old men.
I should have named tonight's podcast back in our day,
right?
But I remember. I think one of the best pieces of advice somebody gave me when I was early a teenager. I think I was pointing the finger at somebody else, or something else. It wasn't my fault why this didn't happen. It was because of this or because of that. And I was pointing the finger at all this stuff. And they said, listen, when you point the finger at something, there's 3 other fingers pointing back at you. And that it wasn't said to be like, hey, it's not their fault. It's your fault. It was more just like, hey, take accountability for things that are your fault. Stop trying to point the finger everywhere. And don't get me wrong, I will point the finger if it is, in fact, not my fault. There's this situation or that situation. But there's a book that I need to start that I'm going to plug right now. And I'm not getting paid for this, but it's called Extreme Ownership.
Jocko.
Yes. My wife read it. And when she read it, when she got towards the end, she was like, babe, you got to read this book. Like, it's literally like just you need to take ownership because there's a lot of people that will blame traffic. Mm-hmm. Is it traffic's fault or should you have left earlier?
Right.
There are little things that you can ask yourself. You can easily point the finger and blame it on traffic. But the 3 fingers pointing back at you are like, well, you could have gotten up earlier, or you could have, taken a shower faster, or you could have done this earlier. You could have left, or, things like you could have gotten gas last night instead of this morning. There's so many other factors involved in that. Take ownership for yourself, which, not a lot of people, it's not popular today.
Right. Again, we look more to save face than do that. And I think there's a certain amount of respect in people that take that accountability. It's like, hey, you know what? Yep, I screwed this up, but I'm going to learn from that. Mm-hmm. And the next time I do the same thing or, make this attempt or whatever, I'll do better at it. It's like we're so afraid to be vulnerable or admit that we did something wrong in some cases. And, that's how you grow.
Yeah, 100. I mean, when you can take ownership, that's exactly where you're allowed to grow from that.
Yeah. Jocko's actually, he does his own podcast.
Yeah. We're just seeing right now, Jocko podcast is great. I follow that dude. Yeah. Man, I need to tune into that for sure.
He's really good.
There's a couple great podcasts out there that I need to, besides the 5 Foot Viking, which I need to, I've been watching a few podcasts here and there, and mostly I watch them because there's great content and there's really great creators out there and great conversations.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I kind of watch it as well for the aesthetics. So I can watch and see how are they editing and how are they, I don't know. I like seeing the ambiance. I like seeing what tech they're using because I like to improve. I think that my podcasts are fairly decent when it comes to content. We have great conversations. At least I do. I feel like
I have a great time.
I have a great time, and I love.
Hopefully, we're not boring the hell out of you guys.
Tons of fun. But there are a lot of great podcasts out there. I think his is something I got to check out. And I love what Edgar says right here when we're talking about back in the day not having footage and cell phones and stuff like that. And he says, I once fell on Witt's equipment on my 27th birthday. No footage.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So true. And I totally remember that. And I wish I had some footage.
And it's a great story. And you don't have to share it. It doesn't have to go viral, but we still had a great laugh about it. It's awesome.
Oh, this is a good one too. Alberto says, I think the best book that everyone needs to read is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Right. If everybody just gave a little bit less.
Yeah. Just a little bit less fucks.
Yeah.
To give.
Just a little bit. You know what's cool? I think one of my favorite things about Jocko podcast is he's got like this really deep voice. Like, just like
really?
this. Yeah. And he's so dramatic.
Really?
About the way that he talks. I would listen to that guy read a phone book because he just gets so intense.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, that he's, but he's, I mean, dude, the guy's legit. I mean, he was a Navy SEAL commander, and he's got just really great look at it.
Wait a minute. If I'm not mistaken, he's been on the Joe Rogan a few times.
Yeah. He's on Rogan a few times. He's a bald guy.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
About as wide as he is.
Well,
tall,
you actually do a great impersonation. I'm listening to it in the headphones. I'm like, oh wow, okay, that's pretty good.
He gets so dramatic.
My wife, yes, great book as well. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Actually, I think if I'm not mistaken, I bought that for her.
Jordan Peterson's another good one too.
Oh yeah, Frank chimes in. He says, "Great book. Have you read Jordan Peterson book 12 Rules?" Actually, I have that Audible book. I bought it on Audible. I haven't, and now that I'm moving to Palm Desert, I'm going to have an awful lot of drive time going to some shows.
Nothing kills a drive time like an Audible book,
I am really looking forward to listening to some books. I have a lot of books that I'm going to be listening to.
Yeah. If you're looking to make yourself better, those are definitely some good people to have in your corner as far as some guidance. I mean, Jordan Peterson's got some really good content. Jocko, if you need some motivation,
self-awareness of mistakes and learning from them, take responsibility for you. That's something that I'm looking forward to. I have a couple. There was what's the one from the gentleman? I can't think of it right now. You know what? I think I have it on Audible right now. Damn, you beat me to it, Frank. That's what Edgar says, damn it, you beat me to that, Frank. Yeah. I think a lot of us that are watching this podcast, a lot of us that are here, I think it's great that everybody's kind of on the same, everybody wants to move forward. At least I would hope anyways, that a lot of people want to move forward and get better and better themselves. It may not be an everyday exercise, but if we are trying to make that happen, I think we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah. I mean, I think if it's your overall goal, that's a good thing to have. Again, we're human. It's like, you're going to have days where you're just like, oh man, I woke up not feeling it today. Everything's annoying me. I want to be a better person, but
not today.
You got to text and drive. You're doing 30 miles an hour. What are you doing?
That's happened so many times. I don't know how you do it, because especially being in customer service, how do you continue to want to be a better person if you get off the phone with someone and you're like, I just want to.
I'd say more often than not, I'm helping people. Like I like to joke about the complaint thing or whatever, just because it kind of keeps you grounded in a sense. But for the most part, I'd say 99, maybe 98% of my job is helping people.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, for me, that's really gratifying.
Yeah.
I like doing that. I like listening to people. I like helping them out. Hey, I've got a solution for you. Hey, you want to buy a watch? It's just, I like, I just like doing that. And most of it is doing that. It's really something that I have no problem talking with people. So it's just something that I've always kind of crushed.
Well, especially, you can also tell that when you're on stage. When you're on stage, in between songs, you have a very good. I'm horrible at this. You talk good.
You talk good.
You talk gooder when you on stage. Like
I speak Italian third.
I'm horrible at it. I'm getting better. I think the podcast has actually helped me personally. I love this that we're getting a lot of people commenting about certain books that everybody should read. Everyone needs to read Slaying the Clowns by Eric
I don't think
Logan.
I've heard of that one.
Okay, I don't know that one.
David Goggins for sure. That dude, that guy's got no quit in him.
Oh yeah,
yeah. David
Where-
Goggins is he was 300-pound exterminator. Went into the Navy SEALs, and I mean, the dude is ripped. Like, you should check out try following one of his workout videos. His
Really?
workout videos. Holy crap!
okay.
It's like, what?
Excuse me.
That's just the warm up. Yeah, I mean that he does like the ultra marathons and stuff like that. That guy's.
I like this. My wife says if people took more accountability and owned their shit, entitlement would be so low. And I think that's. I totally agree. I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, I agree. We've kind of nerfed everything a little bit. Sorry,
Yeah.
we broke it. We nerfed everything. Soften the edges.
Frank chimes in and says, "Yes, just turn off media news and social media as well. Limit yourself from negative bullshit." And
I actually do. I'm not. I've been on it so infrequently.
Mhm.
You know, I'm missing birthdays.
Yeah, you know, it's fun. I'm missing that too. There's been like 3 days later, I jump on and I'm like, oh, hey.
Right. Happy belated.
Yeah. When you get the belated, you know that
Right.
you're staying
Oh,
away
my
from.
phone's already there. Yeah, I must be doing this a lot. Sorry. Yeah, I'll go on there. I don't know. I'm kind of voyeuristic a little bit with social media, but I'll go on there for a few minutes. It's like anything cool. Nope.
yeah.
You know.
There's been multiple times that I have to police myself when I get on social media, and especially like being in a band, we promote ourselves dominantly on
Right.
social media.
It's a necessary evil. I mean, it really is. And I call it an evil, and it really isn't that bad. You know, I'm not trying to demonize it or anything. I
Maybe
think
it's become that occasionally, but
it
like you said,
it's
you can
a
scroll
tool that
past
can
it.
be right. Totally. And it just like with the news feeds and the internet kind of stuff we were talking about. I mean, you can kind of tailor your news feed to whatever you want. And I mean, when it's your Facebook, then yeah, I mean, you should only.
Mhm.
I don't have time to suffer idiots on my own Facebook. You know, it's like
Very true.
if you have that opinion, that's cool. Go have that over there.
I like this. That's Alberto. That's exactly why I rather listen and watch podcasts like this one.
Hey,
you.
thanks, man.
Appreciate that. Really do.
Listen to a couple of grumpy old farts.
Yeah,
complain
just
about the
hang out.
internet.
Hang out. Talking about that internet thing.
Right back in my day, we used to have to walk 5 miles to the mailbox to get our AOL CD.
Our AOL CD.
You've got mail.
Oh my God.
Right?
I saw something. I guess one thing that I'm trying to get into right now, which I'm
That's the second time I've got the Jason Sudeikis thing. That's kind
where's
of
that?
funny.
Where are we looking at?
Down here. I think it's the beard.
This one down here?
The beard and the longer hair.
My little sister Shivani. Sideline. Chris's doppelganger is totally Jason. Oh wow.
Somebody else said that too.
Yeah.
I think it's the beard.
Maybe. Well, who's my doppelganger? Duck Dynasty? Probably.
Zach Wilde.
Am I right?
I got beard envy. Just saying.
Am I right or am I right? Or am I right?
Am I
Right.
Ned?
Good times.
Yeah.
Hey man, I appreciate you being here, bro. I
Yeah,
know it's
Awesome. I always enjoy talking to you. We are never short on conversation.
That's true. That's
you know,
true.
And it's always good company.
There's been plenty of times that Marlene's getting ready. She's like just gonna watch a movie or hang out, and I say, I'm gonna go across the way and have a beer. You can watch me drink. And we end up talking. Well, even back in the day when you were a drinker, I think that was some scary moments. There were times when we would be up until 4 a.m.
Oh yeah. It's
Just-
like, oh, sun's coming up. Was
We're
that
like,
a rooster?
oh, we're out of beer. You got any bourbon?
It's about to go down.
It's so true. But you know what was fun was that even doing that, because we don't see each other that often, but whenever we do, it feels like that's why the time went by so fast, because we would talk and talk and talk, and we go from this conversation to that conversation, this topic to that topic.
Right.
And we just had so much to really talk about, and then a lot of input on both sides, which I thought was really cool, because I think that we see eye to eye on a lot of different topics, but there's small variations.
Sure.
And which I think the fun part is when I get a chance to sit down and have a good conversation with you about let's call it maybe, wait, what's the word I'm looking for? It's controversial. Maybe it's a little bit more controversial than most. And I don't try to talk about controversial stuff on this podcast, but in behind closed doors, I like having conversations with my friends.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about, there's sometimes you'll lean this way, I'll lean this way, but we have a good conversation. And there's sometimes when it's like, well, I see your point of view, but I look at it this way. And I see your point of view, but I look at it this way, and we'll have that conversation. And sometimes you'll change my mind. Sometimes I'll change your mind. Sometimes we'll just,
agree to disagree.
That's not my way, but
San Diego,
but skull.
and quite honestly, I think that's how most of us are. I think that we've been sold this teams concept, when we're more nuanced than that. We have different points of view, and we can have little disagreements or little, hey, I kind of lean a little this way, but I also see this point of view, and I understand where you're coming from maybe on this, and or maybe, you know what, hey, I don't quite get that point of view, but I still respect it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think we again, it gets back to that cancel culture in a sense where everything's got to be absolute. You got to win. It's this team or this team, and if you're not 100% with this, then you got to be with the other guys. And it's like,
I think that's and also, since we're talking about social media and cancel culture and all this kind of stuff together, I think that's another thing that and the algorithm and what you're being shown. So. One thing that I actually learned in my statistics class that I took in college was the outliers. And
100% of this is bullshit.
Yeah. The thing is that, I didn't learn much in that class. I got a C because I only got a C because in the whole semester, I was gone for a month. I missed a whole month of the class because I was on tour in Southeast Asia. And then I came back for a week, and then I went to Cuba for a week and for my birthday. And I was like, I worked really hard afterwards. I went to the office hours, and I was sitting with, I really, really tried hard, but man, you missed 3 weeks in a row. But, and not to say that I was just not doing anything. I was literally in an airport in Malaysia, turning in a paper and or taking a test, doing stuff. I was really trying to stay up on it. But when you miss the lectures, especially in a math class like statistics, a lot of it just went over my head. Yeah. So
I get that. It's like I have missed 7 of the 10 classes. I've made 83% of this curriculum.
But
give me my A.
Trust me, I wasn't looking for an A.
Yeah,
I was looking at that point. It was C's get degrees.
I mean, talking about the balance of band and life.
Yeah,
it's like
that was rough.
Yeah, a little bit of a dance.
But one thing that I do remember that what really ties into what we're talking about here is when you're looking at a grouping of points and you find that grouping in the middle ground, and I can't remember the terminology, but everything's all grouped here. But then you have an outlier that's over here, or maybe 2 or 3 outliers that are over here. And these are those aren't the norm, but the problem is that what you're being shown on social media, they're shining a light on the outlier.
Right.
And the majority of people aren't like that, but they're shining a light on the outlier, making you believe that everyone is like this.
Yeah.
Or every article or every news outlet is like this. So
that's the reality.
The hardest part is when you're looking at that and you're like, most people just believe what they see on social media. Most people, I say most people, but
give us a statistic.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go. Here's the outlier. 97%. But I think one thing that's interesting is the fact that everything is being, these lights are being shown on these outliers. But like you said, the majority of people that I know, the majority of people that are regular people like this, that we can have a conversation.
Yeah, we're reasonable. We can be reasoned with, we can reason together. We can reason our differences. Yeah. It's most people that you encounter are like that. You're right. a disproportionate amount of attention is being paid to those outliers.
Yes.
And with that coupled with the algorithm, that's your echo chamber. That's all you're hearing. You're getting that 24/7 blasted in. Just open up the vein.
Yep. More Karens.
Right? Yeah, more
Karens.
I need outrage.
I need more Karens. Oh, we gotta
do that.
We got a couple more comments. Let's jump into Frank's up here. Frank, live music and most definitely stand-up comedians who are the key to getting through the wood or cancel shit and politics.
I do like me some stand-up comedy.
Yeah, that's true.
Sure.
I think I was talking with somebody and they were talking about comedy, and they were talking about how difficult it is now, because with comedy, you want to be, you want to push the envelope. You want to push the, you want to be edgy. You want to try new things. But now, like, if you try something new and it flops, you get canceled, which is, how close to the edge do you want to walk on this? Which is, I can understand that from an aspect of being on stage. You say the wrong thing, especially with social media. It's like, it's a lot scarier than knowing that my job could be taken away or could be completely canceled because they don't agree with something.
Yeah. And it's such nonsense because it's a comedy show. I mean, most of the stuff that they're talking about, I mean,
jokes.
Watch an Anthony Jeselnik stand up. I mean, everything that guy says is true, 100% true. And it's just like, wait, if you're going to a comedy show and you're offended, I think you were looking to be offended. You went there looking to be offended. I go to a comedy show and I want to laugh. And I think, I mean, to me, and maybe that's my sense of humor, I find those outrageous things funny. Sometimes when they get close to that line, it's like, oh man, that was a little groan worthy there. Right. It's like, whoa, but it's still, I mean, there's a humor aspect to it, and they're just expressing themselves.
Yeah. It's
people need to realize intent. When there's not intent behind it, if it's just a comedy show, it's like,
you said this.
Right.
Yeah, but there's context to it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another problem too, is when you just take it out of you're getting this one little snippet. You see that in a lot of video stuff now that goes around too. It's like, maybe in some cases the Karen videos or, some of these videos that are going around. It's like, well, what happened before that? How did we get right? How did we get to the phones out? It's like,
how did we get to the guy getting tased?
Right, yeah.
Don't just show me the guy getting tased. Oh, he beat the shit out of old lady?
Yeah.
Okay, I would tase him too.
Right. I can say, give me that taser, actually. Yeah. So, I mean, it is. It's like you're getting to see what people want you to see. And I know we're kind of circling back to the grumpy old man thing again. But
I love that. But, I think it just goes to shit. Like with us, we will always circle back to that. It's going to happen. I've got too much gray in this beard. It's going
I got
down.
you beat. That's the only thing I've got you beat on this beard, man. I've got beard envy big time. That's awesome.
Oh, the beard's getting down here. That's something that I wanted to ask the viewers, because I have been struggling with.
Hey, Brightwell's here.
Yeah, I just saw that. I was going to throw this up. Chris Brightwell, watching you on our TV. That's awesome. Thanks for hanging out, man. That's really, really cool. We're totally going to throw you under the bus right now and tell that one story.
Speaking of moving, they just got a new place too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You guys, you were in Irvine. And if I'm not mistaken, oh my God, they were there for a minute because they left here to go to Irvine.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly how long it is, and I'm sure they'll chime in here, but it's been a few years that they were at that location.
What was the craziest thing was that when we first all kind of really met, I think we did talk a little bit about this on the first podcast, but since the audio was so crap back then, I'm going to tell it again. But I was living in another building. You were living in this building, and Brightwell was living in another building, and we all lived here, and we had no idea. Oh, you guys knew that you guys knew it,
right?
But we didn't know.
No.
And then literally the world got smaller and smaller and smaller as we were talking at Fantasy Springs. Yeah, I live in Huntington Beach. Oh, me too. Yeah, I live off of here. Oh, me too. Yeah, I live in this apartment complex. Which building?
You're like, bro.
That was crazy.
That was pretty crazy.
Yeah. Let's see. Frank is chiming in.
Nate Bargate.
Your doppelganger is comedian Nate Bargatze.
I think it's Bargatze.
Bargatze.
I don't know. I might be off on the pronunciation.
Is your damn twin. Okay, I'm going to have to look him up.
He's got a funny stand-up on Netflix.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to look him up. Does he have the beard or I don't know?
I think he does now. I think he does. I know he's got stand up where he didn't, but I think he does now.
See, my wife tells me not to say this because I'm dyslexic and I don't read very well. And I always say it on everything because I'm so nervous, especially when I see a comment that's like a periodical. But I'm going to jump into this. So Stephanie, please in the future, if you could break it up a little bit just to help me out a little bit. Cause I read, things backwards, but,
I'm going to need my glasses.
Yeah, I'm going to have to jump in on this. People who truly seek to understand and understand the other person is a rarity. I love being able to have a conversation with people I don't agree with. Yeah, actually, that's fun to have when you can actually have that conversation, and then still leave the conversation as friends. We can disagree and still be friends. That's what makes things in life interesting. I don't want the same cookie cutter ideals from everyone. Different beliefs bring the diversity that makes this world great.
True.
Yeah,
that's so true.
And I think that's because, like I was saying earlier, we agree on some stuff, which is fun because I think Marlene had posted a comment earlier. She said, "Your combos are the best and oh so entertaining," which because me and you are, I think we memorize movies. So within a conversation, we will quote 17 movies and just laugh our asses off.
I hate to say that's like my hidden talent, but I've got like just the worst movie Tourette's syndrome. I'll just blurt out lines. If something like triggers a memory from a line in a movie, I'm just like, blah, can't help myself. It's like Tourette's.
Steph, oh no, she's going to do it. She says, so sorry for making she's going to break it up into line 17 comments. I appreciate you, Steph. I love you. And thank you so much for, I'm so horrible at reading. I'm going to do this. I'm going to throw it up for people that are watching. So sorry for making the post.
Now it sounds like we're doing a Jocko podcast.
I don't have the voice.
So sorry for making the post so long.
That's awesome. And then Brett upstairs. Did we just become best friends? Very true. We do that all the time.
That's great.
Tons of fun.
Good time.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. We have been going for about an hour. And it's like I said, it goes by so quick.
It's like we just started.
And what's interesting to me is that this is one of the more, I would say, controversial. Even though I don't think it was really controversial. No, I think this was just more of a conversation.
It's maybe one of the type of topics that we haven't dove into previously on a podcast. It shouldn't be controversial.
No, you're absolutely right. It shouldn't be. Right. But I think I
could see where it might be considered.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that also most of my podcasts I think I started this podcast because social media was so political and so controversial and so negative. Yeah. There was a lot of negativity. There was a lot of this, a lot of that, a lot of pointing fingers and stuff. And I started this podcast so that we can just have fun and push away from and use social media to push away from that social media table. So, but because there's so many, I think also it has to go with the guests that I have. You being such a good person, such a good friend, are the type of person that we're going to make out later.
Hey, COVID, bro. I got my shots. We're cool. Yeah.
Being one of those people that we can literally have a conversation like that, and it doesn't come off as a controversial topic. It's just things that we can have as a conversation.
Right. Well, neither one of us are seeking to offend anybody, and really I would say that that's probably most of the stuff out there. You're not, sure. Can people be offensive? Yes. But
and then what's
beard is controversial.
We got Chris Brightwell. What's beard is controversial.
I'd say my beard's more controversial. My wife is like president of the Get Rid of the Beard fan club. She's not a fan. And I'm sure it's got a shelf life at some point, but I enjoy it right now. And it's, I don't know, whatever. I look like Kenny Rogers.
That's one thing I wanted to pose the question to the audience. I have been struggling with my look quote
thanks,
unquote
man.
look, which
I like
used
your look,
to.
dude. I think it's
It's okay. There's moments when I enjoy it, that's for sure. But like this beard is getting long, man. Like it's getting long. It's like it's going over. It's the mustache is going over my mouth. I can't eat anything without saving some for later in the beard.
I can only imagine, because I mean I've got like the starter kit going on here comparatively, and even then, it's like, okay, I sneezed.
Yeah.
Gonna have to clean that up a little bit.
I had lunch the other day and I had a burger and I was like, I mean, I literally had a napkin the whole time, and then when I was done, I had to go wash my beard.
Yeah.
Like it was.
Yeah, because like, I mean, it really gets, and I can only imagine it's got to be worse with that. I mean, it's over your
the other day I had one of those drinks, a michelada, and I didn't tell them beforehand, but they put the tahini all over the rim, which when I take a drink, it puts a tahini circle around my face on my beard. So
that's great.
So here's the thing: the beard's getting long. I kind of want to keep it going, but I'm wondering if there's like a certain shape that anybody would recommend that I do. But also my hair is getting out of control. And I used to, if you go back through my Instagram about, less than a year ago, I used to shave the sides, and I had like the mohawk type, the Ragnar Lothbrok type thing
the
going.
Top little, almost like a mohawk.
Yeah. But it was going back, and I would do that. And I started to let the sides grow out, and the sides are starting to grow. And it's like, it's at that shit stage where you can't do anything with it. And it's just frustrating as all hell. And I'm going into summer. So, anybody who's out there, if you have any, ideas or looks like
Stephanie wants to come braid it.
Yeah. Can I come braid it? Please. That would be so cool. I'm looking, I need to figure out how to braid this. That'd be awesome.
Dreadlock.
With great beards come great responsibility. That's true.
I want to dip it in butter and rub it on my butt.
Who said that? Chris Brightwell? I want to dip it in butter and rub it on my butt.
Nice. Brett's like, go full Viking. Got to go full Viking.
We got Brian. How are you, brother? It was so much fun in the day when we all could make fun of all different races and laugh together as one. I think that brings us all together for sure. I 100% agree. There were times.
Dude, one of my favorite comedians is Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy. I love all the Mel Brooks films.
Totally. Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles is one of my.
Imagine that being on.
That wouldn't make it on. That wouldn't make it on today. Yeah, I mean, just the first 5 minutes. Like that's. I mean, it's so controversial now. But I remember being a kid watching that with. I had a lot of friends from a lot of different races, and we all laughed.
Yeah, I think he said the sheriff is near,
and everybody laughed, and it was, and we could all laugh at it because it was comedy,
right?
And absolutely right, absolutely right.
George Carlin, yeah, I know. God, I know. Yeah. Could you imagine if his head would explode if he was around right now?
Oh,
God,
yeah.
He'd need like a 2-hour special on HBO.
Oh, we got Boris. Boris, how are you, sir? Miss you. I can't understand the question. Had long hair for 30 years. That's true. Boris is a badass. He's also a musician. He's got hair down to his waist.
Oh wow.
He's got the starter beard. He still has the starter beard,
but he makes up for it in the hair department.
Yes, he's definitely a rocker.
Nice.
Miss you, buddy. Archie Bunker.
Oh God, I know, right? Those are some very racy
yeah, Blazing Saddles would have been canceled today. What a treasure. I'm glad there's definitely great things about growing up nowadays, but I think there's jewels and treasure of us growing up in. Yeah, I saw this thing the other day. It was a picture of a little tiny kid with a tattoo drinking a beer, like a baby drinking a beer, and it said Generation X is like the last real generation. I just thought it was hilarious because I am Generation X, but it's kind of I think it holds some validity in my heart.
Nice, yeah, it's gray all over, bro.
What is this?
The pubes match the drapes.
What? Who was saying this? Oh, Brett. Yeah. It's you're getting there.
If you're looking for J. Jonah Jameson. I'm your guy. Parker, get in here.
We got a few. I love that we got some people jumping in here and having some
And
fun.
we all seem like-minded. We all seem a little we're outraged at the people that are outraged a little bit, and just kind of how sensitive everybody is. It's like, lighten up, Francis.
All right. Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to call it quits tonight for the 5 Foot Viking. But I did want to let everybody know that you can go to www.damageinc.us, damageinc.us, and you can see where Damage Inc. is playing. You guys are playing you guys are starting to play a lot more now.
It's the schedule is filling up. We've got the next couple of weeks off, but we are at the Gas Lamp at the end of this month. And then we've got some other shows that are coming up, some travel shows. We're headed to Sturgis later this year. So
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
It's going to be a great little makeup year. After all the sadness, sadness and masks and indoors and stuff. So
I love this. We already have a vote for part 3, please. Okay.
Nice.
We'll,
All right.
we'll definitely have to do that.
It's like Leonard Duran. Just a saga.
Yeah.
This Saturday.
So anyways, also wanted to let you guys know that you can still go to the 5footviking.com. You can see past, if you want to compare tonight's podcast to the previous one with which had the horrible audio. I hope I did a good job with the audio this time. And looking forward to putting up some more stuff and getting some merch out there for you guys to support the channel and do some more podcast. So join me next week, Tuesday at 7:00. What I've decided to do with this podcast is I'm going to do 9 podcasts, and then every 10th podcast will be a review. And
nice.
And where I can go back, it's going to be me and Marlene. We're going to sit down and we're going to review the last 9 podcasts. What was good? What was bad? What was interesting? What was, and how we can improve. Man, I'm losing my voice. I'm Peter Brady over here. I need to fix that. Maybe that's the thing that needs to improve next time. I need to put up. I'm going to put something up. So yeah,
scarf.
I'm going to get one of those filters so I can sound like
like Jocko.
Like Jocko.
Ladies and gentlemen, you gotta get up at 4:30 in the morning.
It sounds like Macho Man Randy Savage. Like
cup of coffee.
Bone saw is ready.
Oh yeah.
So next week will be a review of the last 9 podcasts, which I had some interesting ones. I had some really crazy ones. And a lot of great topics. And then moving forward, I have some great guests lined up for the next 9 after that, which I'm excited to put some stuff together. And in the next month or so, I'm going to be in a new studio, which that should be interesting and fun. So looking forward to that. Chris, thank you so much for spending your evening with me. I appreciate you being here.
My pleasure.
And spending time with the people out here. And I think this is how you end it.
Which one's the any key?